Hey everybody, how you doing? So Corey and I are here to share, and you are listening to the other side of mental health. Corey, this guy, and me, Amanda. I'm your host, and we are sharing real shit about our family experiences and how we help save our families' lives. So we're talking anxiety, depression, family experiences, suicide, self-medicating, all that real stuff that actually nobody talks about on the internet, pretty much at all. But we're going to share it today. We're going to share it from a family experience. So welcome.
Yeah, enjoy. We're going to get started here.
I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you. I'm hanging on by a thread, and all I'm clinging to is prayers. And every breath is like a battle. I feel like I ain't come prepared. And death's knocking on the front door. Pain's creeping through the back. Fears crawling through the windows. Waiting for them to...
All right, so let's get started. This is our first episode.
My hair's sticking out.
And her hair sticking out. You know, this is going to be just a discussion of about a half hour. So probably going to end right around 8:45 Mountain Time. So yeah, we're going to talk about shit people don't talk about, right? Like Amanda said, anxiety, depression, all the shit, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of how our families dealt with it, how I dealt with it, what my experience was, what her experience was, because obviously mine is different from hers. And so December 17th, 2016, her 40th birthday. I was out back, and I remember this very, very vividly, even though it's a memory issue. I was out in the backyard, and we had a huge party for her birthday, and I had talked to a friend, and I said, hey, I'm getting really bad memory loss, right? Like an extreme memory loss where I don't remember what I did yesterday, right? Like I'm just losing memory, and had no idea what it was. I was kind of scared.
You can always lose memory, but it was like extra.
Yeah. My memory's never been the best, but this was way worse. So that started first. That was the first symptom I ever saw. The second would be like sadness. I remember one day Amanda came home, and you can kind of jump in here and kind of talk about what you saw that first day.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because like I noticed he was including new behaviors, and I wasn't understanding that. Maybe it was smoking weed, maybe it was drinking a lot, whatever, but I could never figure out what was going on. And so it was fine. We were just rolling with it. My 40th birthday is coming. I was more worried about that than I was about what was going on with him at the time. And so one day I took the kids to school, and I come home, and he's laying on the floor crying like someone had died. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what happened? Did someone die? I've never seen him like that before. I've never, ever seen Corey cry like that or be so emotional. And it was over something that someone had said on the internet that actually had nothing to do with him.
It was so ridiculous. It had nothing to do with me. And I look at it today and I laugh, right? Like,
but this is the beginning, because it was like, what the hell are you talking about? Seriously? Like you're crying on the floor like that? Like somebody died?
Yeah, I was like
over
balled
that?
up, right? It was
yeah.
Bad. It was like somebody died.
And so it kind of started that way. And then as things progressed, the crying continued, and the strange behavior continued of this crying. It was just, that was the most precedent thing, because first of all, I've barely ever seen him cry. And so during that, it was pretty stressful. And then the kids were scared. They're like, what the heck is going on with Dad? Why is he crying all the time? Like every morning. But it's not like crying like normal.
It was like sobbing, right?
It was like
wailing, sobbing. Right?
And so,
and hey, just real quick, don't interrupt you, but real fast, if you guys have questions, comments, put them on the Other Side of Mental Health Facebook page that we have. Mm-hmm. So all you have to do is go up to the groups and type in the Other Side of Mental Health.
Or you can comment under the law or under the live.
Yeah, you can do that, but don't do it on the personal page. Do it over at the Other Side of Mental Health, only because we'll answer questions over there. While you're watching this, we won't answer questions because we're just talking, and we'll get to those questions later.
My hair is not good today.
Yeah, we'll try next time. We'll get your
hair. What's up with your hair?
Yeah,
anyways, it kind of got strange from there. And then Corey had a friend of his come out and visit us. And I mean, crying in front of his friend, like this whole weird behavior. So he's just telling me like, I don't feel right. And I'm like, well, I noticed, we all noticed, like maybe you need to go, get some help. And I think I went on a trip or I went somewhere and he ended up going to the doctor and the doctor said, hey, like you might have some issues with your thyroid. That sounds like thyroid issues. So we went down that rat hole of the whole thyroid thing.
Yeah, that lasted a long time, right? So
over a month.
I think it was longer than that because what had happened was, so the other symptoms I had, I was losing weight really quick. I was losing a pound a day. And I ended up losing 60 pounds in 60 days. Obviously don't look how I do today, but a lot thinner. So I remember going upstairs to you one night and I said, hey, I need to go to the doctor, right? Like something is really, really wrong with me and I don't know what it is.
Oh, for those of you that know Corey very well, this is not an uncommon thing. There's always something very, very wrong with him, but this was very, very different. Okay. So this guy, like, I love you, but you always have something wrong with you. Anyway, it's funny. We laugh about it now, but then in that moment, it was scary, sitting upstairs, laying in bed and hearing your husband just wailing. What the heck? Like, what is wrong with you? And there was absolutely zero that I could do. Like, there was no, and he was mean. He was not nice. He was ashamed of his sadness. So it was pretty hard to deal with, but
yeah, I would have tried to hide it. Right?
Yeah.
And
it got so bad to where like me and the kids just kind of started to stay away because we weren't sure how to deal with it. Anyway, so long story short, the thyroid was not the issue.
No, but we did get it radiated and we had to wait 6 months after. So we're talking like 8-month delay, right? Between the blood work and so the symptoms happened for 8 months before, I really got help.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was that long. So I think it was more like 4 months. And then this weird twitching behavior started and it was like he had Tourette's. And I'm not making fun of anybody that has any kind of twitching disorder. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just saying, like, I've never seen anybody.
Well, Tourette's isn't a twitching disorder.
Well, kind of.
Well, I guess a little bit. We had a whole panel of neurologists looked at me for. So then,
Parkinson's. Well, we didn't tell them that yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So then we went to the neurologist, and the neurologist. So I'm thinking he has some sort of neurological thing, either Parkinson's, whatever. I don't know. So they ran all these tests. Those all came back normal. So now we're sitting here with this pile of shit going, what the freaking heck? And nothing's working, right? The thyroid, after a few months, that didn't do anything. He's still walking around twitching.
Staying up for days at a time.
I'm getting annoyed because he's twitching. It's like, I can't handle it. I'm telling him to stop. I don't understand why he's doing it. The kids think their dad's weird. It's a whole fucking thing. Excuse my French, but that's what it is.
Go to a restaurant.
We couldn't go to a restaurant. We couldn't do anything.
Like fucking, I'd hit my head on the wall. If I was sitting here right now, I'd probably flail back and hit my head on the wall. Like it was really hard. It was fucked up.
It was the hardest time, and it was embarrassing for him. I know, but it also was embarrassing for us, And anyway, so the point is, and the reason that Corey and I are here to share with you, our journey is because I think that this is something that goes way back for him. It's way before. This is just something that manifested after actually he was kind of like getting better. And then all of a sudden he got this weird thing. And
so my thyroid, so the reason, so we talked about the thyroid a little bit. So my levels were completely high, almost like not almost. They diagnosed me as hyperthyroid, which is the opposite of hypo, right? So I wasn't like really slow, low energy. I would stay up for days at a time, literally. And I was like freaking wired, right? I'd get a million things done. Well, at least I thought I'd get a million things done, but I didn't. And so, He
would stay up. So for those of you that know him, he like created this whole Amazon business during this freaking mental mind trap that he was in. And he'd be out all night in the garage, like doing these things. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. So we're here to share our journey through mental health because this all ties back to a diagnosis that neither one of us thought was a thing. We had no idea. And, I just honestly, like from my standpoint, I did not know how to help him. And that's why this is the other side of mental health, because this is the side that people don't talk about as much. I researched on the internet. I looked for ways to help him. I could not figure it out. There was no support for me. There was no way for me to like have tools. So I had to figure them all out on my own. And this is figuring it out, going to a county hospital and then working our way up through the system this whole time. The
system is just, from what we experience, it's fucking sad, right? Like it's really, really sad. And I look back now, I look at homeless people, I look at depressed people, and I feel fucking terrible because it literally takes so much work to get help, right? Like you go to one place, they basically tell you to fuck off and go somewhere else, and you're literally chasing this for a long fucking time, right? It's not like a broken arm where you can go to the doctor and they can help you, right? It's they don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. Well, and I think this happens in a lot of cases where people are just misdiagnosed. I was misdiagnosed for a really long time, which
and then
I even more shit.
Right? Took it to the next level. I'm like, we're going to go to this holistic doctor, and he is going to heal you. It's
me going to a holistic doctor in fucking Berkeley.
In Berkeley. Right. Meanwhile, he's like,
I like the guy. Nice guy.
Neurotic Corey at that time is making me drive past like old bookstores and like Goodwills or whatever so we could find some treasure in a freaking bookstore. Because his mind is just not going right. I'm like, I don't care about any of these books. I just want you to get better. But he was like, no, we got to find treasures in the store. And then we'd be in there for like an hour.
Hey, we made a lot of money.
I know, but still, it was a lot. Anyway, so we went to this holistic doctor. And this is one piece that I've forgotten that we didn't talk about. But he did all this blood work on Corey.
Lyme disease, right?
And he was like, oh, maybe you have Lyme disease. So then we went down the whole rat hole of Lyme disease.
But they did a deep test. So with Lyme disease, you can do a regular standard blood test and the doctor can tell you yes or no. Mm-hmm. But with extensive and I just went deer hunting and I got bit by ticks. The long-term Lyme disease actually gets into your bone marrow and gets buried into your brain, and where a blood test won't always detect it. So you have to pay for that thing. It's not even covered by insurance. It's a $500 test, right, to figure out if you have
$595.
Sorry, $595 test. But on the way there, we've got enough books to cover that cost, so it's fine.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so we go to this holistic doctor. He thinks it's Lyme. He wants to run more tests, and the whole time, I mean, this poor guy, he's not sleeping. He's barely eating. And then when he is sleeping, he's waking up crying for 2 and 3 days. And it became this pattern, like every 3 days. It was like 3 days manic, 3 days depressed, 3 days manic, 3 days. But I didn't know what that was then. I had no idea.
And sometimes it would actually switch in the middle of the day.
He was on crack for 3 days, and then he was like sleeping for 3 days. I don't know. I have no idea. And so the kids were freaking out. I was freaking out. Anyway, it was a lot. Meanwhile, and for those of you that may be going through this or maybe experiencing it with your spouse, like you have to keep your ship afloat, right? You got to keep the kids going to school. You got to keep everything moving in the right direction while he's doing whatever. He was not a participant. He was my patient at the time. And it was like, okay, you just stay here and I'm going to go take the kids to school and I'll be right back. And some days I'd come back to him blubbering, and other days I'd come back to him ready to solve world peace. Like it was a lot. And
I think I called it the shit lottery.
Yeah.
Like, literally the shit lottery is what I referred to. Mm-hmm. And it meant like every morning when I woke up,
he didn't know what he was going to get.
I mean, one or the other. So the first 10 minutes when I would wake up, I would feel normal. And then all of a sudden it would go north or it would go fucking south. Never stayed in a floodplain. And
to be honest with you, I liked the north because usually he was getting shit done but I could never keep up with him. His brain's going 100 miles an hour. Anyway, the point of sharing like all of that back, like history of where we are today. And today we're actually not going to get into our story of healing, but we just wanted to share with you guys the backstory. But this is a story of mental health. Okay. This has nothing to do with Lyme disease. It has nothing to do with anything that he struggled where they thought that it was neurological. This is all right here. And we learned that, and we're going to share it with you guys over the next couple weeks. and share with you our journey, because I really think that there's so many people out there that are struggling with this that don't have a resource. And maybe I can help you or he can help you, right? Because I have gone through it. I'm still sitting here today. I still kind of like him sometimes. But
she's not blue screened in.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not an image.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, but we've had our share of ups and downs, ins and outs, and roller coasters. And I'm elated to share with you guys, because if, it's going to help us heal. It's going to help us to see that other side more.
Right, and we're going to have people on the podcast as well. We're going to have our family members. I want to have my kids on here to talk about what they saw, what they went through. It's not really what they saw. This isn't really about, it is about me. Like, I'm the back end of the story, but it's really about how the family deals with this and how my family dealt with it and how we got to where we are today. Right? And
how our families dealt with it, right? The outside people that weren't living in our home, right? I remember one time, and I'm going to share this, my brother will probably laugh, but I was on the phone with him and he's like, I'm getting nervous. Like, I'm going to see you on 2020. Like, what is going on in your house? And there's so much when you're not in it. And I'm here to share what it's like to be in it. And he's here to share what it's like to be in that mental state. So
then our kids will too.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be a.
And we invite and encourage anybody else, if you have stories that would help and heal, like, share it with us. We would love to hear it, because we are one statistic, but there is a lot, right? And
yes, there is. There is a lot. I mean, I think I Googled every freaking day, right? And I think you did too. We are all Googling. Like, I was Googling my symptoms, Googling all kinds of shit, right? And everything. I mean, bipolar kept coming up. I'm like, no, you fucking bipolar, what are you talking about? But I look back as a kid now and see some of the things. I had symptoms growing up, right? And Frank, Matt, if you're ever watching this, God.
Frank,
Matt,
is there anything ever wrong with
Corey? I was fucking anxiety, manic, right? Not so much manic, but a little bit. But I had a lot of anxiety growing up, right? A lot. I think it started when I was about 13 years old, which was crazy, right? So we thought that the hyperthyroidism was causing this, right? And then the blood work started to come back, normal, started to come down, and I was still fucking crazy, right? It was still an absolute wreck. So
this is that story that we're going to share with you guys, and I honestly think, like, there's so many pieces to this puzzle. He doesn't even remember half of them, but I do. And even though he was suffering, we were all suffering too, right?
Everybody.
And so I'm elated to share the story with you guys, because I think that this is something that people don't talk about, and it's mainly with relationships, and it comes down to that foundation of love, right? And being able to get out of your own way to help someone else.
Right. And this is really healing for us, right? Because I've never really heard her side. I've heard a little bit about it, but I've always kind of shut it off. Only because it's been very, very painful for me, right? Like, very fucking painful. But at the same time, I wouldn't be here today if we didn't experience those things, right? Not that I wouldn't physically be here, but we wouldn't be where we are in our lives. I've learned so much from that, and there's a lot of positivity that's come out of this story, right? So this isn't just a drama story of what Corey went through, or our family went through. There's a lot of good stuff that came out of this, right? Like, I can teach my kids about mental health, right? We've got all kinds of things. We can talk about mental health, right? So if someday she has an issue, we have already experienced it. So.
And it's not about pointing fingers. Honestly, in mental health, there's no right or wrong. There really, at one point I thought there was, to be honest with you. I actually hated his guts. Like, I'm like, I can't do this, And so it'll be healing and amazing to go through this and just share the journey with you guys. Right. And like I said, if you have a journey, you have a story about someone that struggled with something maybe that was different than us, don't forget to share it. And we're excited to share this on you.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We are. I'm a real emotional guy, so
he'll probably cry.
Already know. Oh, yeah.
I don't cry. But he
Yes,
tries.
yes, I'll end up crying on this just because I wasn't emotional like this before, right? And now that I think I've got my brain right,
Mhm.
not that I think I have my brain, I know I have my brain right.
Are you sure?
I'm super
Are you
emotional.
sure you have your brain right?
So if you see her fly sideways off the camera view, it's because I gave her
Oh
a
my
shot.
God. I don't know if anybody actually has their brain right. But
You know, what is brain right? What is
Yeah.
that, right? We all have our fucked
well,
upness,
this
no matter
this
what it
is
is, right?
bothering me. That's my brain.
But the cool thing is that we're actually talking about this kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
Because nobody does, right? People try to hide it in their families.
Mhm.
You post Facebook perfect family photos of you on the beach. The kids are great. You know, got the perfect husband with the button-up shirt, right? All the bullshit we see on Facebook and in social media and everywhere else, right? No one fucking opens up and just drops their shit out in front of everybody. Right?
No. So we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
We're ready to share our power of our struggle with all of you to help anybody and then also help us heal along the way, right? So if you have any questions, whatever it is, share it with us and we're excited. So stay tuned because more to come.
Awesome. Thanks.